It's Saturday evening. It's time to talk about a pretty disappointing week in comic books with our good friend Drew. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, Wes. Yeah, it was a pretty mediocre week for comics, but thankfully there's college football to watch. We got the Cubs in the playoffs, but you know what? I do make time to talk about some of the mediocre comics, so let's do that.
Yeah, we've got a few comic books that we're going to recommend, but DC had a big week. You know, they had Absolute Evil. I did a review on that one. Not impressed. They had Batman #2, book I was excited about. Made a video on it, not impressed. But they also had Justice League, the Omega Act Special #1 from Josh Williamson and Yasmin Putri. And this is coming off the heels of Superman 30, which was an absolute banger of a comic book. While it's certainly not as disappointing as the other two comic books, it's not great either. It's almost like something that you could completely skip and filler just biding their time until they get to DCKO. Like, I'm a little bit confused about what Time Trapper is even doing. Every time he arrives, he says he's saving the future, and then 4 pages later, he decides that he's quitting. And in this issue particularly, he sent Superman with Superboy Prime to go rescue Booster Gold because he was the key to the future. Superman has arrived back at the Watchtower with Booster Gold. Superboy Prime may have sacrificed himself in the process, and when they arrive, once again, Time Trapper's like, you know what? We can't win. Why not? The thing that you said had to happen just happened.
People don't know this, but we don't talk about the books before we record. So everything you're saying is like, I'm laughing because it's all 100% true. You have Time Trapper, Doomsday saying, no, it's not going to work. No, not going to work. No, not going to work. Okay, let's go. Let's do this. It's like, what the hell is the point of this? And he's been doing this for several months now. This issue, I have a lot of issues, pun intended, with this, Wes. First of all, let's talk about the cover of this. The cover is absolute garbage. This issue is more or less the kickoff prelude to your big event. And really, this looks like a high schooler freshman half-assed this in study hall. And if I had this guy do a cover for me, I'd have to kick my own ass, you know? And second, the story. Look, if you've been reading Superman and or the Justice League, there's nothing new to learn from this issue other than the coincidence that DC Universe has gotten that everything is so much smaller now with Doomsday being created as a weapon against Darkseid. Third, the cost of this. For this story, this interior art and this crappy cover, they have the unmitigated stupidity to charge $6? That's ludicrous. This isn't worth more than $2 because that's what this book should have been, a dollar book. If you spent more than $6 on this, I hope you can get your money back. They have to compare this to other prologue issues in the past. And one that did this incredibly well was Countdown to Infinite Crisis. It was a prologue issue leading to the big event, Infinite Crisis. They had the biggest names of writers and artists working on it. Jim Lee and Alex Ross on the cover. It was wonderful. And how much did it cost? $1 freaking dollar. And it was 80 pages. It doubled the size of this diaper stain. This is an absolute a fair comparison. If you don't think so, well, you're wrong. DC did it well before, and they are failing right now.
Yeah, just one of the things that kind of stood out that I kind of enjoyed maybe was Wally West and Time Chopper not being able to kind of stop him in time and going along with him. But then for some reason, there's this other half of the story, another story like in the Absolute Universe with Kara and Ursa just kind of lollygagging around, and it meant nothing to the story itself. It accomplished nothing.
It accomplished nothing, and like I said previously, you're making the universe that much smaller by making Doomsday and Darkseid pretty much the epicenter of everything again. This has Scott Snyder's signature all over it, making a large universe that much smaller, and that's what all this has done. And everything done by it just feels like one heavy coincidence, and I hate that form of storytelling. This is getting old really damn quick, and if this is where it's going to be like for DCKO, it is going to be a long, long, boring event.
So that one definitely did not work for me, but really nothing at DC worked for me this week, which is really surprising. Thankfully, we did get a couple of good indie books. Rook Exodus #7, Geoff Johns writing, Jason Fabok on art. The return of Rook Exodus after almost a year hiatus starts out with this great fight between Stag, the deer warden, versus the wild dog warden. And it looks like $1 million. There's a lot of world building, establishing of what's going on. I like the introduction of the new goat warden. I thought she was amazeballs hot. And then the reveal of why Direwolf is in so much jeopardy by the end of this comic book. So it looks amazing. It's still a really great book. I would have gone a little bit bigger after such a long hiatus.
Yeah, that would have been great. But at the same time, this issue was just straight fire. I mean, the recap I thought was short and sweet, just what we needed, right amount. The world is expanding even more. And of course, we got the new Wardens, and I can't wait to see how it all plays out with them. And the art, Jason Fabok, I mean, come on now. He kills it once again, and you see why it was worth the wait. Character designs, the animals and monsters, all top notch. This is the kickoff issue of the second arc, and I think this is already in my top 10 for the year. Wes, strongest of recommends for Rook Exodus. If you're not reading this, and you picked up the Omega Act special or the Obsolete Evil, fix yourself. Get Rook Exodus now.
I wish they'd gone bigger, but this is clearly my pick of the week.
Yeah, same here.
Book. Also going to recommend Huck, Big Bad World, #5. Mark Millar writing, Raphael Albuquerque on art. The continuation and penultimate issue of the second volume of Huck. And it kind of takes a 90-degree turn away from what had been established. I thought we were going along with Huck and we were going to learn who the witch is and how these things all play together. It turns out there's an agency that's been playing behind the scenes the entire time, and Huck might have just given them the keys to understanding and being able to identify everybody on the planet at the exact same time with superpowers. Not exactly the thing that you want to do. And then there's a big reveal when there's an apology given to Huck that he definitely 100% earned, that maybe there's another superpowered person out there as well.
So yeah, the big old Garfield-sized cat is out of the bag in this issue. And on top of everything you just said, Wes, we officially know whom is responsible for all the superpowered characters in the Millarverse. And I hope we get more info on their origins in the future, because what Mark Millar is setting up here, it's like, oh, interesting. Go on. I want to see how this all played out in the origins of this universe at the very beginning. We learn more about this cabal of bad guys you talked about, what their mission is, and there may be a little twist at the end of this with a certain character. The art in this was terrific. Raphael Albuquerque, top notch. Dialogue and pacing, another solid issue by Mark Millar. If Rook Exodus hasn't come out, this would have been my pick of the week. Strong recommend for Huck, Big Bad World #5.
I'm also reading the original Huck right now from the same creative team on the Comics Guild, and we're having a great time with that one. We're almost finished with that series too. Good stuff. I love Huck.
Me too. Wish I could go back and read it again.
Moving over to Marvel Comics, we actually have 2 books to recommend. X-Men, Age of Revelation, Overture #1. One of the biggest surprise recommendations maybe in the history of the channel. I didn't think I would be talking about this book from Jed MacKay and Ryan Stegman, but this looks and feels like the Ryan Stegman from King in Black or the Donny Cates Venom run. I didn't think he had this in him anymore. But my goodness, this book looks great. I haven't loved the lead up to it. I didn't like X-Men 22. I didn't like the 0 issue. But all of a sudden, things kind of come together. There's action, there's pacing, there's stakes. And there's some turns and character revelations that I found very, very exciting, especially, of all people, Glob Herman, a character I despise, actually comes out as pretty badass in this book. I never in a million years would have expected to recommend this book, but I'm definitely recommending it.
About Glob Herman, like when you see him, what he does, it's both creepy and funny at the same time. It's just like, what was that? Who I think it was that did that? It's so strange. It's a hard left turn. It's like I was not expecting that at all. But anyway, yeah. If there's one overwhelmingly positive factor in this issue, it's the interior art. Ryan Stegman. He did a terrific job in this art, and it's been a long while since he put in this effort. Like you said, King in Black or maybe Vanish, that his art has been this strong. Good. So good for Ryan. That's awesome. The story, the first half of this, it's catching up. What happened. Cyclops is in the future. He's taking the news a little too well, in my opinion. Beast's take is talking a bit out of character. Wolverine looks ridiculous with the mask. But the action in the latter half of this book is solid. I love the latter half of this book. And we actually get a body count. Imagine my shock. So it's a weaker recommend, but it's still worth checking out, if only for Stegman's art.
I was pleasantly surprised on how much I enjoyed that book, and I will definitely be reading the Jed MacKay stuff at least in Age of Revelation. We're also going to recommend Spider-Man Noir #1, Eric Larson writing, Andrea Braccardo on art. The art in this book really does pay so much tribute to the Spider-Man Noir character. I don't like the amount of spider variants that we have, but this one is unique enough that I've always kind of dug it. There's just one problem. Like, I love the gumshoe stuff. I like the setting. But for some reason, Spider-Man Noir talks and acts like he's Peter Parker Spider-Man from our universe while he's fighting, and it made no sense to me. It took me right out of the story, but I kind of like everything else about it.
The same critique to this as well. Yeah. So if you're familiar with the Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse film, Nick Cage and his narration of the character, it's a stark contrast in his comic book. But at the same time, it's still a solid, action-packed mystery story we got going on here. This one surprised me, and I wasn't expecting to enjoy this as much as I have the previous Spider-Man books that are out right now currently. But yeah, Peter and Mary Jane are broken up. Aunt May's health is failing, and wouldn't you know it, he's flat broke too. Some things never change, no matter what time period he's in. So Peter winds up getting hired by a certain blonde character to find out who killed her father. Peter takes a job and then begins to uncover some very weird clues as to who may have been responsible. And we got a nice little twist going on at the very end with Spider-Man. Nice little cliffhanger. The storytelling, Eric Larson, is solid. Art is terrific. Action is solid. But the one critique is the verbiage and the narrations from Peter, because it's very out of character from what we've gotten in the past. Regardless, it is a strong recommend for Spider-Man Noir #1. This was a lot of fun.
And that will do it for our recommendations. Normally we would have a DC book or two at least. I don't know how long it's been since we've had a week where we didn't recommend at least one DC book, but I guess we're going to restart the clock here because they had some big books, but they kind of all disappointed.
Yeah, they did. It's a shame. Yeah, like you, I can't recall the last time we didn't recommend the DC books, but I won't be here next week. Hopefully whoever is co-hosting with you can have some DC recommends.
And also, if you're looking for more comic book reviews of everything from DC, Marvel, and indie books, we do have the Hot or Not podcast with our good friend Jim from Weird Science. If you haven't checked that out, it's exclusive on Think Critical Patreon and channel memberships. Hope to see you there very, very soon.